All right, John, do you like dad jokes?
I do, but I'm kind of scared if they're coming from you.
So with Justin Jones, he had that issue with different shots and sport mods, kind of getting up on the left side of his car, and now he's got Preston car that was on his left side. I'm sure he's having a really good time tonight.
Ugh. I'm the only dad out of the three of us here. Why are you guys doing the dad jokes?
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to think, why would Mason have dad jokes? I mean, if anything, it should be Jessup that's having dad jokes.
Don't let Jessup start telling jokes. Jessup's jokes go off like hitting a foul tip in a wiffle ball game. Just disappointing.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast for episode 27 of season 3. Had another busy week with just a couple of races taking place, but we sure packed a lot into one weekend. And we're here to recap it all with myself, Mason, Mr. Jessup Pelkey, and Miss Becca Pelkey joining us for the first time in several episodes. And Mr. John Breckle will be joining us, but he'll be on a little bit later. Becca, since we haven't heard from you recently, how have you been doing?
I've been doing pretty good. Recently just had a baby, as most people probably know, and baby and I are doing very well. Yeah, just been busy trying to adjust as a family of 3 and learn this thing called motherhood, and it's been fun most of the time. But yeah, right now Riley's asleep, and now that means we can all have fun while she's sleeping.
But fun times await. I cannot wait to meet Riley this weekend as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jessup, how are you doing? You still have most of your hair intact, so things must be going well so far.
I still have hair, so that's a good thing.
Good deal. And you go back to work pretty soon, I think?
In approximately 7 hours.
Oh, fun.
So we're done waiting. Let's get going.
Well, why not? Let's just jump right into it. But first,
Mason, how are you doing?
Oh, yeah, I suppose. I never say how I'm doing. I'm doing great. It's been a much better week than last, just trying to get back on projects after my hard drive decided to, all the fun left it. So I had to basically start from scratch for all my projects with all my templates because they were on the hard drive. So, but hopefully good news on that coming towards the end of this week. So we have to share that once it happens.
You've been doing videos for over 10 years now. You should always have a backup for your backup.
I was in the process of transferring all that stuff over to the backup. It's just the most recent backup stuff did get transferred in time. I was working on it slowly. Yeah. Tough lesson learned, but nonetheless, we're moving on. We have to thank our presenting sponsor, as always, Hitch Harness and Tyler Hall for supporting us over the last couple of seasons. If you haven't, check out hitchharness.com and all the products they have. Of course, the signature product, the receiver hitch storage, single or double style, and you can pick whatever colors you want of your choosing. And check out all the other products as far as race shop amenities and also swag if you'd like. And so once again, message Tyler, get a hold of him if you have any questions, and he can kind of show you the ropes on everything. And thank you, as always, for the support on the podcast. So, like the lineup has been over the last several weeks, Jessup is still on the pole because we really have been actually very nice as far as not throwing cautions on people. I'm still in second, but Becca's now in third.
Yay.
And when John joins, he will join the rear of the field.
He'll be at lap down.
Yeah, he'll probably be a little bit behind. Maybe do they have free passes in a lot of the dirt track racing, or is that kind of just depends on the race?
That's just NASCAR.
Actually, the way timing and scoring should be done is if you are a lap down and a caution does come out, you do get a lap back.
Okay.
Tracks. It's something we learned when the World of Outlaws came to Dakota Speedway back in 2008 and 2009 when we first got timing and scoring at the track. And it's something most tracks should be doing. It's something that we typically do at Dakota Speedway, but and Jamestown Speedway because Stacy Little is the one that taught me that, and it's something that we've always done since Stacy's been doing timing and scoring at both racetracks.
Excellent. And I know they do it at the Sites Memorial too. I know at the pit meeting they're like, whenever a caution comes out, first driver lap down gets a lap back. So I think it should be a standard, personally.
Mhm.
Just because, like, how often are you going to try to unlap yourself in if it's a longer race? Obviously, if you're a lap down in a 20 lap feature, well, I guess you're kind of out of luck. But anyways, we will officially start episode 27 with the waving of the green flag and get right into who or what are we repping. Jessup, since you are the pole sitter, start us off.
Well, I probably have already worn this shirt once, but since this event got postponed due to rain and inclement weather, I am wearing my Silver 1000 shirt again. And it's the John Canta and Daryl Nelson version. I'm very excited for this event, my favorite racing event of the year. And this year we're staying home with the wee baby Riley and my parents who are out here with us for the baptism and all that good stuff. But we are planning on having a good night, and I think we might have some surprise invaders to our house.
It ought to be a fun time. I'm surprised you didn't get a private jet that you have to fly over to the Silver 1000.
I have to afford Becca's lifestyle that she has grown accustomed to. Otherwise, I would.
Because that would be a fun event, especially with the way I think the weather looks really beautiful. Because it'll be taking place tonight, hopefully, when this gets posted.
Yep, and there's no draw or what was it?
Draw fees.
No draw
No draw
fees for the
fees.
drivers this year.
Oh.
So it should be a good night. I would expect really big car counts as it's right before the Red Clay Classic, and it might help sway the minds of a few drivers to continue going further east over to Ashland and the ABC Raceway to kind of close out what I would consider the traditional part of invitational season and the month of money. Everything after this weekend really is just extra. And I mean, there's still good racing to be had, but in a traditional sense, this would be the real end of the invitational season, with the exception of the Fall Classic at the Viking Speedway. But that event has gone away from Viking, so it does not really count as a traditional invitational event anymore.
And remind me before I move on, is the Red Clay Classic one show over 2 days?
Yes. So a lot of our Western drivers would not like that.
Well, the reason I asked is because, like, if you do the Silver 1000 for like the mods and late models, since it's just 2 classes to Silver, it's not a ton of extra racing for the rest of the weekend if you go down to Ashland.
No, it's just another really good party event. And the whole ABC Raceway Red Clay Classic has really grown within itself. I mean, the community embraces it. There's a lot of fun stuff happening throughout the weekend. Bands at the track, great racing. They have the bridesmaid event opportunity, and that goes over really well. There's a lot of money. I think it's either Thursday night or this year might have to be Wednesday night. At one of the local bars, I think they do pretty much the whole night of proceeds go to the race itself or something like that. I can't remember anymore what it is, but they donate a lot of money, and sometimes second place is getting more than, well, yeah, So we'll see how this year plays out, and it's I really enjoyed going to the Red Clay Classic when I was back home out east. Definitely, if you're a Wissota fan and you like invitational style races, it's one to get to. The whole atmosphere is really cool as well, and yeah, definitely what I would consider a crown jewel event of Wissota racing.
I'd agree with that. It'd be fun to see what kind of car count they get. I know they've been over 200 or 200 plus, and so
It's a lot.
it's a lot of cars.
For
As
four
some would say.
classes, it's a lot of cars, and they push through it pretty well.
Yeah, so hopefully a great turnout there and at the Silver 1000 over at Proctor. One of the drivers you might see, I can't remember exactly what he told me, but this is a new hat for me and who are what repping with Brady Williamson. He is out of Ontario.
Who?
Not Brady Will.
Tanner.
Tanner. Thank you. Gosh, that's a caution. Yeah.
I'm
I don't-
sorry, Mason.
You know what I was doing? I was looking at hero cars, and I think I saw Brady Williamson's stock car, and that's why I said that.
I'm sorry, buddy, but
You
No,
almost
John.
corrected yourself, but Jessup caught you first.
Yeah, that's definitely a legit caution. But I saw him at Bemidji, so that's where I got the hat. I think he's planning on the Fall Classic, and I would assume he'd be at one of the two races over this weekend, considering he's kind of in the Thunder Bay area and it's not too far of a drive.
Well, a lot of Canadians make the tow. It's oddly a strange tow. Okay, if you think about if you're coming from Thunder Bay to Ashland, you have to drive approximately, give or take,
Oh, yeah.
2 hours down the lakeshore, the north shore of Lake Superior. And then once you get to Duluth Superior, you got to go right back another hour, hour and a half. I can't remember what it is. I haven't made a drive in a while, but another hour or so back up the South Shore. And then it's like a straight shot across at an angle, give or take. But you got to go all the way around this body of water.
Yeah, it'd be just helpful if they built a bridge from Thunder Bay over to Ashland. That would make life a whole lot easier.
Sure.
I'm forward thinking. I mean, let's make life easier for the racers. That's my mindset.
Sure.
Anyways, the Koozie I'm repping is a driver from South Dakota, Brady Locker. He drives a Wissota Modified. He's only raced a handful of times this year, but hopefully in the next couple of years he'll be racing a little bit more. And the shirt is another South Dakota driver, kind of picked out randomly, Tony Miller. Drives the number 80 Wissota Street Stock. This shirt's a couple years old. I think it's from 2022. I think he's still looking for his first feature win. He almost got it this year when I put a GoPro in his car. Had he won that feature race, he was going to mandate that I put a GoPro in his car every race. So we'll see. Maybe I'll put another GoPro in his car and he'll knock out that first feature win. But that's who or what I'm repping. Becca, who or what are you repping?
Well, I've been a hot mess the last 2 weeks of my life. So continuing that train of thought here, because you never know when you have to whip out a boob to feed a baby. So wearing the now defunct Sunshine State Modified Tour. This is a zip-up hoodie jacket. So this is actually Jessup's, but I pulled it out because it's easy just to wrap up in and cover the girls and then whip them out when I need to. So anyway, this is the front. It's just pretty plain Jane, but then on the back, just a nice little design. Again, this racing tour doesn't exist anymore, but it was well supported the 1 or 2 or maybe 3 years that it existed down in Florida. But and thoughts and prayers to all those folks in Florida, because I think they're about to get hit with a nasty hurricane. So but yeah, that's who or what I'm repping this week.
I like the little retro looking logo on the back of it. I think that's cool. Well, excellent. So that is who or what we are repping for episode 27. And even though we don't have the knowledge rain man here, we will move on to the hot sauce, hot memory rewind and give a shout out to our buddy Isaac Hot Sauce Sandro, who is also a new dad. So congratulations to the Sandros. Young Harrison joined the family a few weeks ago, and so he's put racing on the back burner probably for the rest of the year, but still nice to see him out at the racetrack. So if you ever see him, stop by and say hi. One of the nicest guys to talk to. He's been announcing a little bit, so definitely a guy of many talents. And so thank you, Isaac, for supporting us on the podcast as well. Jessup, I have 3, but you go ahead with yours first.
I have 5.
Oh, geez. Well, if I don't get any, whenever John joins, maybe we can
There's
go to him for
Jessup.
backup.
to this.
Jessup, weren't you the one that was complaining this should be done by 11?
Yeah, well, we've been waiting for John, so we might as well wait a little longer. All right, there is a theme to this week's hot sauce, hot take, memory rewind. And remember, folks, they got to name the driver, the year, and we'll see if we can name what the theme is at the end of it. All right, number 1. Yeah. You should know this, Mason.
I'm just going to say Pat Dorr.
Yes. Okay, Patrick Dorr in the legendary Double Down Express with the
Double One Express, but close enough.
TriStarEngine.com sponsorship with the Badger. I think the Badger storage on the front too as well. Ready for number 2?
Yep.
Yeah.
Becca, do you have a guess?
It says Larson.
I know who it is. It's Steve Larson.
Oh, okay.
Very good, Mason. I don't remember this paint or this. Oh, it is paint or wrap design. All right, here comes number 3.
Becca?
Radetzky. Is that an old Jake Radetzky or is that his dad?
I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me.
Oh gosh. This looks like an older photo, but Jake is roughly around our age, so this could be him. I don't know. I'll just say Jake Radetzky. It's got the same sponsors as he does today.
I feel bad. I don't know who another
I
Radetzky is.
I don't know who his dad is though.
That is Jerry Radetzky.
Oh, okay. That sounds familiar.
All right, here comes the 4th one.
Only 51.
Wegeman?
The only 51 I know is Joel Kreiderman.
Yeah. Becca?
It could be, I don't know.
Mason, you are correct. This is Joel Kreiderman and a very different looking 51 for him.
Is it a NASCAR? Because it's got the Melling sponsorship on the
Valvoline?
Well, yeah, the Valvoline is a huge thing, but the Melling is an actual NASCAR sponsor, so I wonder if that's a NASCAR throwback.
Could be. Last one.
Leon
Canta?
Plank.
Who? Becca?
Canta?
Mason?
Leon Plank.
Becca?
John Canta?
One of you is right. Who is right?
Pretty sure I am because it says 85P.
Mason's right. This is Leon Plank's car, and you can also tell by the LPI Leon Plank Industries. So yes, those are the 5 hot sauce, hot take, memory rewind.
Can I guess the theme?
Yes.
They are all late models.
Very good, Mason. But you're going to have to dig a little deeper.
I'm going to take a stab and say they are all former Silver 1000 winners.
Becca is correct.
Oh, wow. I see what he did there. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now, looking first at Leon Plank, he is one of the highest winning late model drivers in Silver 1000 history, only to be bested by one other driver. Who would that driver be, Mason?
Daryl Nelson.
That is correct. The Hammer, the Hermantown Hammer, who I think has 4 Silver 1000 late model victories now.
Ooh.
Or it could be 5. But I think it's 4. I'd have to double check.
Weren't you looking at the back of the shirt earlier?
This only goes up to so many years, Becca.
I walked out of the nursery and Jessup was taking his shirt off and looking at the people on the back.
4.
That's a
Yep,
classic
Nelson.
Jessup move.
Nelson has 4. Leon has 3. He won it in 1975, 1980, and 1985. All
And it
right.
sounds like Leon will be there this weekend.
I hope so. Uh, for his sake, I like Leon. He's a good guy.
He's super nice.
He is very nice. Now, looking at Joel Kreiderman, he won it in 1990. Jerry Radetsky, also a one-time winner, won it in 1993. Pat Dorr has won both the modifieds and the late models, but he's won 2 with the late models, one in 2000 and one in 2019. And Steve Larson won it in 94 and 98.
Hmm.
That is your hot sauce, hot take, memory rewind, and John Breckle history lesson.
What year were they all?
Well, what do you think it was?
Well, I saw the year on one of them.
Yeah, I know. Becca?
I wasn't paying that close of attention, but I don't know.
2003.
Yep, 2003. I like how she just laughs about it, like tee hee hee.
I wasn't paying attention.
That's a car.
You ready for my first one?
Yep. Who's a 72X?
I want to say it's Kyler Jeffrey.
I would say Kyler as well.
You'd both be correct.
Good call, Becca.
Can you guess the year on that?
2009.
I'm gonna go 2011.
A little too old. 2014.
Interesting.
Okay, you get the year on this one, but I have to cover up the name.
I can't even see it. That's another 72 super stock. Becca?
Is it Dallas Rice?
No.
Oh,
I am not going to know this one, Mason.
I will give you a hint. He still races today, but in an IMCA modified.
A 72. Dave Shipley?
That is correct.
Yeah!
ah,
Go me. I surprised myself there.
All right. This last one's for Jessup. Yeah, I got
Pat
it.
Dorr.
I think I got it covered.
That's a sprint car. And the World of Outlaws, and I only see part of the car. Can you lower the card?
What do you mean?
Oh. Ooh, number 2. World of Outlaws. I should know this. Um, hmm.
doesn't
It's
it
not
say
good.
Larry Woodward Racing at the bottom?
That ain't gonna help me.
Okay.
This is a 2007 card, FYI.
This is
Oh,
So
before my
that's a long-
time.
The dude.
no, this driver is not from the United States.
Oh,
Carrie
well.
Madsen?
I would say Carrie Madsen, yeah. No, 2007. It's not Brooke Tatnell.
Are you sure on that?
Holy crap, that's a young Brooke.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. He had that cool that paint job. Oh, I like Brooke. He's a good one. He's a
That was
good.
one of my favorite schemes when they
That
showed
is a
up.
good one. He's had quite a few good schemes.
Yeah.
I think John might be joining us soon.
He's missed all the hot sauce, hot memory rewinds, but
Oh no, that wasn't John. That was somebody else messaging me.
oh, yeah, I haven't gotten any message from him, but he should be appearing anytime soon. But that is our hot sauce, hot memory rewind or hot take.
Well, those were
Hot
some
memory
good
rewind.
ones.
Yeah,
Those were some really good ones.
they were all like tricky a little bit, but everyone got them a bit like with just a little bit of hints.
You know the next generation of Tatnell Racing and Richard Racing is coming up as I think it's I want to say it starts with a G. I want to say Garrett.
Yeah, I think it's Garrett. I think you're right.
But it looks like they're selling off all of his micro stuff, so that only means one thing as he hopped into a UMSS winged sprint car a couple weeks ago at the legendary 100.
From Forest Lake, Minnesota. I was wondering where they're kind of setting up camp.
Yeah, yeah, that's about right.
Yep, Garrett Tap.
They're over around by Forest Lake, just a short drive away from Toby's and Hinckley.
Yep, not too far from Cedar Lake, so that's kind of a home track in a sense.
Yep.
Well, we'll get into a little bit of the track pack report before we hopefully get John on here just in time to recap his favorite race of the year, which was the 53rd annual Jamestown Stock Car Stampede.
And when he does get here, I will probably leave 10 minutes into his explanation of the trailers coming through the pit gates.
Same.
Okay.
Or when he packed the track.
I know he loves this event. I didn't realize how much he enjoys the trailers coming in and where he
Mason.
sat to watch
Are you
them.
serious, Mason?
I didn't
I'm with
realize the
Becca
whole
on this.
sitting.
I don't know how you've missed out on this. I've seen him out there, and he sunburns himself.
Mason, we've been to his house and he has VHS tapes, and he'll whip them into his VCR and be like, "Oh, this is from 1999," and he'll go through and be like, "Oh, this is this person and that is that person's trailer."
And they
Like,
were racing this chassis at this time.
I thought he would before this weekend. I always thought he sat in the stands and watched them come in. I didn't realize he sat outside the gate and watched them all come in.
No,
Yeah.
he's got his camera, and I think he's using the same chairs that he had when he was a kid to sit there.
Well, I think he told me his camcorder that he used is like 20 years old.
yeah,
Hey, if it works.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I could use
Yep.
that motto. Anyways, Becca, for the little bit that you watched the Stampede, what was a takeaway or two that you had?
Well, I didn't get to see a whole lot of the Stampede because I was typically trying to put Riley down for naps or to bed or something, feeding her or whatever. But I did get to watch part of the broadcast, and I really thought that you and John and Corey did a nice job, and Jessica did a great job with the broadcast, and it was definitely a different feel watching the Stampede from home because I've always been there for the past I don't know, since 2015, so almost 10 years, and it was really weird to be watching it from home. But the broadcast was great, and I thought you guys all did a nice job announcing, and overall it was a different but great experience watching the Stampede from home because Saturday night got a little bit late, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I actually went to bed halfway through the street stock feature, and that might have been a mistake because the ending
She missed out on the monster trucking.
it was pretty wild. I had to watch it the next morning when I was feeding Riley. But
I told Becca,
yeah.
I said, you missed out on all the drama. And she's like, no, I saw it all. And I'm like, no, you didn't. If you didn't watch the end of the street stop feature.
I was nodding off because it was just caution after caution after caution in all the features, and I was just nodding off in the middle of that street stock feature, not because the race was boring. It was just really late for me, and I knew I had to be up in like 2 or 3 hours to feed Riley again. So I went to bed early, and that was a mistake because I missed the best parts of that race. And excellent camera work by Jessup because I think he got the fan reaction pretty darn well as well.
Oh, that was great. If Becca could clip that out at some point.
Oh, I can.
I think that might go as one of my favorite clips because you have the monster trucking happening, and then as they come out of corner 4, you just see somebody's middle finger go up.
Several.
And as they start zooming out to get the finish line, you see somebody throwing the double bird, and then at least 5 or 6 different fans are throwing up middle fingers.
Yeah,
it really caught the spirit of the moment, Mason.
I got the same reaction on my view too. I was like, wow. Yeah, it was quite interesting, that finish. I'll put it that way. Jessup, what was a takeaway you had?
I thought it went very well overall. All things considered, I thought Friday night was probably the best Friday night I've seen there for the Stampede. Track was great, racing was great, a lot of passing all the way throughout the night. Let's see, very few cautions, which personally I prefer as a camera guy. We pushed through. I know John said at one point 54. Hold on one second.
54 races. That's what he's trying to say.
Corny.
Oh no, now the dog's distracting.
I let him outside to go potty, and I told Joseph he's on Gordy duty. I think he forgot.
Oh, come here. Dad.
Oh,
As I
Cordy.
was saying before, I had to save my faithful and caring pupper who protects the house. He was out on night patrol, apparently, because Becca made him go outside
Well, he
without
has
telling
the
me.
potty. I told you.
No, you
You're on
did
Gordy
not.
duty. Yes, I did.
You did not. No.
You
No.
weren't listening.
No. I probably wasn't, but the light should have been on.
He's a dog. He can see just fine.
You are not nice. You should sleep on the couch, not me. Me and Gordy call bed tonight.
Then you get to take care of Riley.
You can take care of Riley. I'm sure there's enough room for a mattress in her room. Anyways, as I was saying,
There's
there-
the
we
clip that
pushed through
Jessup wanted.
about we pushed through about 54 features, or not features, but heats and dashes or races in general. And we were done by what, 11?
11.
Yeah, just about 11.
Yeah, so a really good night there. Saturday, gorgeous weather again. It
A little
was rough.
breezy.
A little breezy. Honestly, once you got underneath the grandstand, it really wasn't bad. If you were out in the elements, braving them, more power to you, but it would have been a rough go. But if you got underneath the grandstand in time, definitely comfortable night. Nothing bad there. They had people lined up both nights. That was kind of cool to see. Especially Saturday, seeing people literally sitting in chairs to get their seats ready. So, Saturday's racing was kind of to be expected. A little rough, actually a lot of rough, to get into the features. And then,
Oh yeah.
and then for some reason in the features, it didn't get any better in some cases, which was unfortunate because there was a lot of talent there to make for some really, really good racing. And then there was still, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of good racing going on and people taking advantage of ill situations. And yeah, overall, definitely an interesting night of racing. Street stocks I would say, stick out of the most head-scratching moments of the night. But outside of that, on the whole, the weekend was really good. And the broadcast went off pretty flawlessly, so I was pretty happy.
Yeah, I didn't hear any complaints. Well, I mean, from Jessup, because there's usually something technologically that needs to get addressed. But
first year we did it, we had a person pull all of our power cables out because they felt that they needed to plug their phone in, and the broadcast or the pay-per-view company that had been there before wasn't in the right spot, in her opinion. She got a severe butt chewing that night. Then the following year, someone pulled all of our internet out. And then the following night, we overloaded the power circuits or the power outlets and tripped the breaker. And we lost power again for the second year in a row. So the last weekend, I was really happy we didn't have any of those issues.
nice. Yeah, I would say my takeaways were the official car count was, I believe, 277. So a lot of cars.
Yep.
A lot of cars. Weather was great. Fan count was great. I was very impressed with the fans in the stands both Friday and Saturday night, like Jessup alluded to. And yeah, there was no shortage of action on the track, especially Saturday.
Yeah, for the most part, Mason, I think, some of the stuff that outside of the racing, I took away was the fans, for the most part, with the exception of one or two incidents, specifically the street stock feature last lap. The fans left happy.
Mhm.
And a lot of drivers, well, I don't know if a lot of drivers did, but it seemed like going into Saturday, there was little to no drama, with the exception of maybe one frustrated driver, but that's okay. Um, I thought they did everything right, and then it turned into a demo derby a bit.
Mhm.
But outside of the racing aspect, walking around, seeing all the campers, there were a ton of campers there, and seeing it's kind of unique, or at least a good reflection piece for me of the weekend. Walking around and I see a bunch of fans sitting there with might have been family members of a driver, and they're sitting around a fire eating something, and they're all laughing and having a good time, and it was just a nice way to just reflect on the weekend and appreciate that it's the end of the racing season for us. And for a lot of people, we're not going to get to see them again until next spring. So it's kind of a bittersweet moment, but it's a nice reminder that it's only racing. We get a lot of good friends, and a lot of us are very blessed to be able to be a part of this.
Mhm. I would definitely agree with that. Well,
But how about that last lap of that street stock feature?
I found that clip for you, Jessup.
Thanks, Becca.
I also have a clip of it. Anyways, I was gonna get started on results, especially with the slingshots, because I had to announce it because John had to go to the bathroom during this race.
He never announces the slingshots. I think that was just an excuse to get you to do
John
it.
also left in the middle of a B main to go to the bathroom.
Really?
Yes.
Who announced then?
Nobody. We got lucky and got a caution immediately, like 2 corners later.
And the V-mains were a struggle. First up, out of the classes with the junior slingshots in their feature event, we had a good field of cars. We had 12 of them show up, and a lot of fast runners from out west and North Dakota and Canada, as well as the regulars over in Jamestown. And it took a little bit to get that race going, have few early cautions and getting people lined up, but eventually we did get things underway. And of course, your heavy hitters that you have are Caden Davenport, Gunnar Raynard from Canada, Western Uranker from Wilson. So nice variety of drivers, and it was in the end it was Gunnar Raynard taking the feature win for his first stock car Stampede. Finishing in second in a photo finish was a 31X of Western Uranker, and so he and Caden put on a great show to the end, and so it was great to start off feature action with those youngsters up in victory lane. Then we had a lengthy intermission to kind of get the track all farmed up after the B mains, after all that went down. And so we had our features lined up, and the first up with that was the Bombers. Jessup, do you remember anything that stuck out to you in the Bombers and hobby stocks?
Well, Asher Williams picked up a very popular win, I think. Many could say that. Kind of cool to see Asher come back from UNOH in Ohio and come up, race the stock car Stampede and pick up the big feature, and he earned it. It was a great win. It really capped off what I would consider a magical season, or he isn't going to be around much in the future years, I'm guessing, if he's going to be hopping on with some race teams hopefully next year. But if he does come back, that'll be awesome. If not, it's kind of a nice way to cap off a swan song type of season, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's probably going to be taking a similar approach to Charlie Crist, who was a regular racer at
Yep.
Jamestown and also went to UMA and OH. So, yep. And so he passed Dylan Sandberg, who had won the dash the previous night. And hard charger in that race was Matt Gumpke, who went plus 11 from 17th to 6th for a cool $100. And so, very solid race for Ash Williams, like you said, capping off a great season in the Bomber division. And we had 30 cars total in the Bombers.
Good field.
Good field. Up next was your IMCA Sport Mods with 26 cars. I enjoy watching the IMCA Sport Mods in Jamestown just because it's like you get a mix of West and East coming together. So it's a very solid field there. Anything stick out to you there, Jessup?
Well, I thought the talent across the board was really good. You had the best of the best from the East and what I would consider some of the very best of the best of the West and North come down and compete. And they put on a really good show, I thought, all things considered.
I'd agree with that. It was fun to watch the likes of Gabe Deschamps kind of hold the fort down up front, but you had guys like Chris Van Mill, Darren Schatz trying to make their way and kind of using multiple grooves. I'd say that the group, like the track was really racy all night too. And so you could race multiple grooves, but some drivers were definitely set up for bottom versus the top. And Gabe was running the bottom for the majority of that race, and he held on to the feature win in front of Ryan Rested, who's been one of the fast drivers out east, and Darren Schatz was third. Your hard charger in the IMCA Sport Mods was John Lazat. Now, he was racing Cole Handshoe's 82 Sport Mod, started 24th and went up to 12th, plus 12. And so great run for John Lazat in the IMCA Sport Mods. And your dash winner from Friday night was Rich Pavlicek in the 17. After that was your IDX Legends, I believe. And they had a lot of cars. They had 50 check-in. So kind of a precursor of what I don't know how many we're going to get at Oktoberfest this upcoming weekend, but I'm sure it's going to be a pretty fair amount.
80.
80.
We're getting them all. We're bringing them all in one time.
Oh,
we
gosh.
don't need no NX Dirt Nationals. We are the Dirt Nationals.
It would be interesting to see. I mean, well, we'll probably touch on that a little bit later on Nationals in another race that might take place the same weekend. But what sticks out to you in the Legends, Jessup?
Well, it was 1-2 Madlers. That was really impressive. Once they got to the front, they pretty much ran the extreme Donovan Weiss line and held the bottom and never moved. And that seemed to be enough to go.
Well, and of course, the Madlers like to run the bottom. Donovan Weiss likes to run the bottom. Colin Compson, who was in third from the Joy, kind of runs wherever. And Preston Martin working that high side, I think needed like 5 more laps.
Yeah, the top 4 are really good. If you look at the field of cars you get here, and out of 50, I would say, respectively, on any given track, I could see about, on a field of 24, I could see about 17 different winners on any given track.
Yeah, that's a stacked field.
And so I'm not going to say names because I don't want people to be mad and be like, oh, he's leaving people out and he's being mean. I'm just being realistic. There's 17 that I can see on any night, maybe 18 to 20 on any given night that could win a race. And the outside 4 that I'm saying probably won't win, it's probably because they're racing those other 20 and they need a little help with Jacques Debris or Carnage.
Yeah, actually, out of the features, that was the cleanest one because they only had 1 caution.
Yep. They were really fun to watch.
So great job to the Legend drivers, and congratulations to the winner, Noah Madler
So here's a question for you, Mason. It got brought up a little bit. I don't know who brought it up, but it was in our group. We talked about it. Instead of having 2 B mains, would it be more entertaining to have a C main and then have those guys tag the end of the B main and then a B main for them to go to an A main? Kind of like the Nationals, Knoxville Nationals with the alphabet soup and the chili bowl.
That'd actually be I'd be entertained by that.
I think it'd be interesting.
I think so. I think it'd also be good just because, well, I mean, depending on how like the weekend is played out, depending on who all gets into that C main, it gives some of those drivers kind of like who are more like some of the younger experience, maybe just racing around each other, and then
Yep.
whoever moves on to the B main to more experience, things like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a classic kind of, you could almost test it out in a sense. That'd be a good testing opportunity for some of the bigger events throughout the rest of the state too.
Yep.
But yeah, once again, congratulations to Noah and Gage Mather. Noah with the feature win, Gage from 8th in 2nd, and then your hard charger Indy Legends was Alex Kakowski racing, I believe the number 33. I can't remember whose car it was, but went from 18th to 6th for plus 12. So a lot of movers and shakers there. Next year, Wissota Midwest Modifieds with 32 entries, another solid stacked field of cars. I personally think this was my favorite race of Saturday. What is it from your standpoint, Jessup? Because I know you love B mods in general.
Well, the MWMs, the SmackDown was a good feature, in my opinion. If you look at the top five, any of those guys could have won. I mean, if you saw any of them as the overall weekend winner going into it, you wouldn't be surprised. Um, Overall, some comers, some goers. Definitely an interesting weekend for Justin Jones. I had higher hopes for him as my fantasy team was, I wouldn't say relying heavily on him, but I picked him in both divisions, and it just wasn't what I would say. I would say it wasn't exactly a lived up billing to a normal Justin Jones weekend where he'd be rather successful for the weekend.
Well, from my standpoint, you could say he was sort of not on top of his game, although he had a couple of cars that were on top of him, or he was on top of cars.
Yeah, there was a lot of that was the weird part about this weekend. Whenever anyone got into anyone, it was like, oh, we're not just gonna go into each other. We're gonna go into each other and then get stuck on top and have to have all the directors come out and gently lift us up and then put us back down.
The Wrecker crew got a lot of practice on Saturday.
Yeah. Overall, though, I mean, a solid field of cars, great talent across the field. Really good mix of drivers too. A lot of North Dakota guys, a couple of fun Minnesota guys like Jake Malter was a good one. I thought a fun pickup. It was good to see Preston Carr there. Kyle Anderson had a pretty solid night for being his first couple races in a Wissota Midwest mod, going +7 to finish 12th. Yeah, well, only real noticeable person missing, I guess we could say, was Nate Ranke, who was out east attempting his luck at the Punky Manor Race of Champions over at the Red Cedar Speedway in Menominee. But yeah, great field, I thought.
Yeah, and boy, Lucas Rodin and Jarek Klein put on a great show. They were side by side for the last 8 to 9 laps, and Lucas running the high side, Jared running low, and in the end, it was Lucas Rodin who had a really tough week leading up to this after the 100 debacle. And so 4 in a row, Stampede wins for Lucas Rodin, Jared Klein in second, and Reese Stenberg was third. And your hard charger going +11 from 20th was Phil Chrislib in the 3B machine. So nice run for Phil. Up next, I don't remember the exact order. I think it was stock cars. We'll just say it was stock cars. Good field of stock cars. 25 of them. Another very good. The dash on Friday night in the stock cars was really, really good.
I thought honestly, I thought the sport mod dash on Friday night was the best.
That was also a really good one.
Between who was running low at the was it Ryan Rested or Vargason? Or no, not Vargason.
Rested or Pavlicek was running low because Pavlicek
Yep.
run the dash and then Van Mill was running high.
Yep, Van Mill ripping the lip was fun to watch. And the stockers, same type of deal. Again, what can you say? It's a real fun situation to see the East versus the West factor kicking in. and then having a few Canadian invaders coming in, and we say invaders with a good as a good endearing term. But again, you look at all the talent coming through here, the top, at least the top 12 for sure, any given night will win a race. And that's not taking anything away from the other 13 drivers, but I'm just going with the top 12 right there. And a lot of big racing victories there. And then a very talented pool of drivers behind that top 12 too. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it was a fun night. And yeah, that's my takeaway on it.
Yeah, and it was kind of a similar in their dash and feature. It was Daniel Aberle in the 33 and Johnny Carter kind of battling side by side in both the dash and the feature, which Daniel Aberle got the dash win, but it was Johnny Carter who got the lead, then exchanged sliders with Randy Klein, and he went on to get his first stock car Stampede in the IMCA stock car division. The cool cat Calvin Kesselberg in second, and our very own Brody Carlos from the B1 was third. And your hard charger in the IMCA stock cars was Will Matajovic going +9 from 24th to 15th. So nice race in your IMCA stock cars. On to your IMCA modifieds. This was a very stacked field of cars as well, as they had, I just lost it, 44 cars. I was very impressed with that car count.
Yeah, I was too. And again, the beautiful part about the Stampede is it really is the coming together of the entire state. And it's a cool aspect because it really brings some of the best drivers together, and you finally get to see them at one track, at one place, all at one time. Rather than having, when we did the power rankings, we would have the fans from the West say the drivers from the East couldn't hang, and then the fans from the East would say the drivers from the West couldn't hang, and then you have the people in the center saying they both suck, and only the drivers in the center were the best. But lovingly, they sucked. but but this is a great point of the year where you get to see everyone on top of their game, and they had a great mix of cars here, I thought, Mason.
Yeah, very, very stacked field at the front of the field and at the rear of the field because you had a lot of drivers that were coming from the B mains that were going to start way in the back. But Colin Hibden started outside the front row in the number 2 spot, coincidentally enough. Seems to be a good omen for Colin Hibden. And he had to hold off a late charge for Travis Hagen in the 14T. Travis is starting to get the high side worked in the last couple laps and just went up there a little too late, I think. But Colin Hibden, that's his first stock car Stampede feature win. So very big congrats out to him. Hagen in second. Zach Frederick in the 5F, a solid run in third. And then your hard charger who went the Ironman went +16 from 23rd, Marcus Tomlinson.
Yep.
And they had like a 16 or like almost a 20 lap green flag run, and he went 23rd to 9th in that.
Yeah. Marcus was on a mission. He looked great. Just looking through this field, a bunch of great drivers in there. Brock Beater had a pretty solid weekend, going +11. Is that Adam Goff's
Yes.
modified? So that's pretty cool. I knew Adam had one. I just haven't seen it before. So that was pretty neat. Other person I will say I was very impressed with was Sean Keena making it into the feature just off of passing points. And so yeah.
Yeah, definitely a very solid field, and that was a really fun race to watch in your IMCA modifieds. Up after the IMCA modifieds was your Risota Street Stocks, which they had 28 cars in attendance. Had a couple of cars not start due to mechanical trouble on Friday. So this was a very good race and very entertaining in more ways than one. Jessup, go ahead. What was your takeaways from this race?
Well, usually this brings the best of the West and the best of the East together, but we got to see the best of the East and the South come out and the Central all battle it out. I don't know how we should say this. Let's save the controversy to the end. Johnny Carter going to third after hopping in on Mike. Was it Mike Munt's car?
Yes, it was.
That was really cool.
It
Hell of a run
was.
for Johnny going plus 23. John's favorite driver right there. Of course, John would show up for that. But, you know, Hudson Hooker had a really good run as well, going plus 11 to finish 13th.
And that was in an IMC hobby stock.
IMC
Yeah.
Hobby Stock. Yep.
And then the John Feist had a great run as well. It was for his second race of the year. Yeah. So all in all, we forgot to mention with the stock cars. How about Kelvin Kesselberg finally having a good Stampede weekend?
Finally having a good race in Jamestown in
Yeah.
general. I think that was
That-
one of his first races that he's ever finished for features.
He was
I mean,
stoked.
That was the best
Calvin's
interview.
he's always run like good in Jamestown, like physically, like fit has been, decent in Jamestown, but has always been either involved in mechanical failures or wrecks or something, whether it's mod tour or whether it's Stampede. And he finally finished a race in second. And this didn't come without controversy because when Aberley spun, he was involved in that wreck.
Well, let's get back focus, bring it back.
Are you meditating?
No, I'm trying to be nice about this because this what the hell? You know, I get a lot of crap for driving like crap on our racing video games and driving through people. I don't think I've ever drove over a car.
Yeah.
I don't think you have either, Jessup. I mean,
It
you
would
drove
be
through a car, but not over a car.
It was the most polarizing battle of the night
That's
with
a
Hunter
great
Carter
And Jaden
and
Chris.
Jaden Christ. And we can also add in Cole Gresseth as well, because Cole got punted a few times.
Yeah, John, since I've talked quite a bit, you can go ahead and recap the street stacks.
Okay, well, overall, the streets had a lot of action and a lot of cautions. So streets
Yes.
I mean, that was kind of the theme on Saturday night was cautions, but the streets in general had a lot of cautions. But the battle up front between those three was very fierce.
Yep.
So there was multiple times they had a little bit of a green flag run in there, kind of through the middle of that feature, and they were three wide for many laps between Cole on the bottom, Hunter was like right in the middle, and then you had Jaden on the high side. So there was about 3-4 laps in there that they were three wide of line, but it was fierce, and in that groove in that feature, just because of the amount of time it took, was changing. It would go high side, and then it would go right back down to the bottom, and then it was eventually in the middle. But overall, yeah, Cole Gresseth and Hunter Carter made contact in turn two, just a racing deal overall, and it was underneath black and yellow, and Cole had to go pit side, kind of ending his kind of good runs during invitational season after that contact between those two drivers. And then it set up a battle between Jaden Christ and Hunter Carter, and Jaden was super aggressive in that race. We'll just kind of put it as that because there was a restart that he lifted Cole's car up out of turn four off the ground, and that actually gave Hunter the lead out of turn four on a restart with the Delaware double file. And Bressa's tires were completely off the ground during that restart when they hit the flag stand. And then coming into the final couple of laps, you could just see that I don't know, I could kind of feel it just announcing that something was going to happen. And sure enough, it was a very interesting move. Hunter went into turn three. A couple laps before that, he had crossed over Jaden in turn three because Jaden drove in super hard. They made contact, and Hunter stepped on the binders and went below him and crossed him back over coming out of turn number four. This time around, Hunter came in, Jaden came in, Jaden made contact with the left side of Hunter's car. And he basically was going to win the Stampede or he was going to wear it. And he ended up wearing it because he went across the front end of the car, kind of went like over the front end of the car, right? And the wheels were actually going in the air. You could kind of see that coming through three and four. Even on the video, you could kind of tell. And yeah, he was DQ'd for rough driving at that time, and Hunter Carter was awarded the win in a hard fought battle, and Hunter basically swept the weekend because he had a great heat race, won the dash, and then he ended up with the feature win, and he was pretty adamant in victory lane, and the fans in the grandstands were also quite adamant when he came across the line and that announcement was made.
Yep. Yeah, so big congrats out to Hunter Carter in the 19H for his first stock car Stampede win. John Feist, as we mentioned, finishing in second, and Johnny Carter and Mike Munn's car after Mike Munn had a ground wire issue with the rev box, and so he was not able to participate, but Johnny Carter stepped in, started 26th, finished in third, and he was fun to watch in that feature event. So then on to the last class of the night, which was your Soda late models, and they had 31 cars. A lot of great talent in that field. A lot of surprise visitors as well. Jessup, what were your takeaways from the late models?
There were a lot of late models, Mason. It was good. It wasn't that long ago. We were struggling to get late models, and then there was the year that they had 4 big late model. Well, technically there were 6 late model shows that weekend, and the net math came out to what I said it was going to come out to be, and then people complained. But fast forward a few years, we got 31 late models in the pits. The great late model car count. Really good field of late models too. The talent was very deep. You had a couple. I would consider them the bigger dogs of the area, but if you looked at the drivers just beneath them or just below them, and it wasn't a big drop off, and it was a really good field all the way through. So it was fun watching every heat and the B main. The B main was really interesting to see because literally anybody could have made it in, and it was fun because you didn't know who was going to make it in. And then the feature was good as well. Some interesting stuff took place, and I'll let John talk about it because he'll say it more poetically than I can.
Yep, all you, John.
Yeah, no, it was a very interesting race. Top line was definitely kind of the dominant line in that feature, but when you went kind of back in the deeper in the field, you had drivers moving through the field. And one in particular, your Stock Car Stampede guy that has won basically the most championships ever in the Stock Car Stampede, Mitch Johnson in the 00, started 20th in that field. And I was watching him quite a bit when I was announcing it. He was more using the middle line of the racetrack, and he was making his moves, and he finished 5th within that feature race. So, and Mitch passed some really good cars in that feature to get up 15 to go to 5th. But besides that, and there was a 3-wide battle. Nate Reynolds was using the bottom, and he was making that bottom line work too really well. And Nick Anderson was there actually, if you guys knew that, for some of his photography. And he follows around the Eisenchanks quite a bit, and he was taking some photos, and he's got a lot of late model photo shots that are really cool coming out of turns 1 and 2, also going into turns 3 and 4, to where he's got drivers like right next to the wall on the bottom and way on the high side. There's a couple of really nice shots there. But no, overall, some weird things like, for instance, we had a longer green flag run to start that 30-lap feature event. And then we had Tyler Peterson. Tyler went around by himself, actually running 4th in turn 2. That was kind of strange, unless something broke or if you just lost the car, but kind of a solo spin over there in turn 2. And it kind of set up a really weird restart because on the restart, Gresseth and Michelson kind of got together coming out of turn number 4. Gresseth kind of came up and Michelson was right there and came down. And unfortunately, it kind of made them both a little bit sideways. And Gresseth got into the turn 4 wall at the exit of turn 4. And that stacked them up big time on the front straight. And we took out some big contenders like Shane Edgington got knocked out in that wreck. Mike Gresseth got knocked out in that wreck as well. And some of those big names that were kind of making their way through the field as they started a little bit deeper in the field. But honestly, overall, Ryan Michelson was untouchable. He had a pretty, not really sizable lead, but he was definitely the class of the field over Dustin Strand and Brody Troth Grubin and some of those drivers. So, but no, congratulations to Ryan. That was his first ever Stampede win. He also did kind of a sweep. He won his heat, won the dash, and then also won the feature. So he looked really good. And I mean, the week before that at the 100, he went from almost 20th up to third in that race, and maybe a couple more laps, and he might have actually taken home the Wissota 100 this year. So Ryan actually has looked really good here for the couple of races for invitational season. But yeah, he won. Dustin Strand, multi-time Stampede champion, second in national points, was second overall. And then Brody Truff-Rubin, like I mentioned, was third. Mitch Johnson was their hard charger, going from 20th to 5th. So really good run for Mitch.
I think that was the first big high-paying show for win for that chassis.
SSR, yep.
Yeah, that's their first big win for their first real attempt at a late model chassis. So that's pretty fun for them.
And I
Now,
think that was like the first chassis for SSR
I think so.
that they had made for late models. I think they have about 3 of them out there now. It's not super many, but they're definitely known for their modified chassis, right? From the Midwest modified side, for the modified side,
So
and they just keep building them.
I need you guys to help me with something here. Did Tyler Peterson run 2 cars?
Yes, yes, he
I
did.
I was wondering about that
Yes.
because I think it was either set late in the feature where he spun out and he went off, and I'm like, is that a different car from the night before? Because I could have
Yes,
swore he had his one TPO car versus the Harry Gant car.
he did. And honestly, I didn't know Tyler had 2 late models, to be honest with you. But he did. He had the one TPO car, the blue car, over on Friday night, won his heat. I think he was 4th or 5th in the qualifying dash. And I never heard if it was like engine problems or if something was just not felt right in the car. Because the Harry Gant paint scheme, it's usually his car that he runs in September. Because, Harry Gant obviously was September time frame for NASCAR. And he always throws it back. And he brought that car over on Saturday. So he pulls out on the track. And I was like, that's a different car. So I asked, I wanted just more detail as an announcer, right? Yep. And he came into the pit check on Saturday and talked to Joanne, and also talked to Stacy on that one too, and said, hey, just a heads up, or maybe even was on Friday, to say that, they brought the Harry Gant car tonight, somewhere in that range too. And everybody looked up and down to make sure Wissota rules are right on it, which there was nothing against it from a Wissota rule perspective. So yeah, so he had a different car over on Saturday night. And actually, before he spun, he was moving through the field too, because Tyler actually started deeper in that top 8 for the redraw. And was working his way up and was catching the battle for second between Dustin Strand and Mike Resseth at that time.
Okay, good. I thought I was losing my mind.
Yeah. No, you definitely were not. And so that was the 53rd annual Jamestown Stock Car Stampede. Definitely a jam-packed couple of days of racing action. And overall, I would say it was a success.
Yeah, so guys, I know I wasn't here right away, and I apologize. I was too busy chit-chatting at the bowling alley talking about league stuff. I'm getting into bowling season now. I know I'm just a terrible person when it comes to that stuff, because
John,
actually
you
I'm
can
gonna miss testing
recap
too
after.
tomorrow. I know. We can do the white flag now because Becca's got to go.
Mason, you can
Becca, you're on
recap
mute.
after about your Chicken Shack Nationals.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're on mute.
So the other race that I got to take in this weekend was over at the Bemidji Speedway for their Paul Bunyan Stampede, their second night of 2 on the weekend on Sunday. And the weather was pretty dang good. A little bit of a breeze and pretty good car count in all of the classes as well. And so wanted to go quickly over the results from that event on Sunday, as it was my second time getting over, or actually third time this season, getting over to the Bemidji Speedway. And they had 121 cars in all their with all their classes, and so very good turnout of cars there, with 24 pure stocks kicking things off. Had a rough wreck in the middle of it with Derek Waleski. He broke an axle and took a tumble over in turns 3 and 4. And if you haven't seen the video, I actually had a GoPro in his car, and it was definitely a rough looking wreck, but thankfully he was okay. And car unfortunately is probably totaled. So sounds like they got some different plans in the works for the next year. So it'll be interesting to see what the Waleski crew comes up with. But their winner in the Wissota Pure Stocks went to the 3 of Cade Leeper, and he's been one of the hot shoes out in the Bemidji area. So big congrats out to Cade Leeper in the 3 machine. We go over to the Wissota Hornets, where they had 13 cars in attendance, and it was Russ Kiker Jr. from Brainerd, Wissota taking the feature win in front of Chad Reller and Jamie Gordon. So congratulations to the 13 of Russ Kiker Jr. as he's also been stacking up some wins across the Wissota region as well. Mini stocks had 11 in attendance, and it was a different name than we normally see in the Wissota Midwest Modifieds, but Connor Drury jumped behind the wheel of a mini stock. I believe it was one of the Schwinn's mini stock, and he got his first Stampede win in the mini stock division. Conrad in the 6 machine, Conrad Schwinn in second, the National Schwinn was third. In your Wissota Midwest Modifieds, they had a really good field of 23 cars to take the green flag there. Had to run a B main to kind of filter out some cars there. And Skylar Smith, who's been almost snake bit as far as winning a feature over Bemidji is concerned, got his first feature win at Bemidji of the season, and it came at the Paul Bunyan Stampede. He held off Michael Blevin Sr. in the 10 machine and Landon Gross in the number 15. So congratulations to the 16 of Skylar Smith. In the Wissota street stocks, they were an additional class to the Stampede this weekend. They had 8 cars there in attendance, and it was Scotty Messner in the 18 machine getting the feature win in his hometown. It was kind of nice with him being from Bemidji to see him get the feature win in front of the hometown crowd, and he had to hold off a hard charging Weston Ramsey, who came all the way from dead last up to second, and Tommy Bagonis in third. In the Wissota Mod 4s, actually, let's go to the Wissota Modifieds first. Definitely a race that kind of went a few different directions. So Mike Stearns, one of your national point contenders, was leading the majority of the race with Cole Chernowski, who's also in attendance, who is your current national points leader. And so was looking to be a big win for Mike Stearns, but they had a few cautions. And as the track was maybe taking a little bit of rubber, I think he had a flat tire about 2/3 of the way through the race, which opened the door for the 6ST Joseph Thomas from Glendon. And he held on to take the feature win in front of Josh Boley, only 22, and Cole Chernowski, who had a flat tire, had to go to the pits and get that change and came up to finish third. And so a lot of shuffling in that race in the Wissota Modifieds. And they had a field of 14 cars, so nice competitive field in the Wissota Modifieds. Now on to the Wissota Mod 4s, where they had another 14 cars in attendance, and that was a caution-free race. So hats off to the Wissota Mod 4s on a clean and green race. And it was rookie Blake Hawker in the 21 machine taking the feature win and holding off a hard-charging Tommy Bowden in the TB81 to claim the win, and Dean Larson in the 37 was third. So congratulations out to the 21 and Blake Hawker from Rice, Minnesota. Long trip for Blake. And then your super stocks finished off the night, and of course we had a little bit of carnage in that and a few cautions, but Andy Labarge, who started up front, kind of stayed clean and green throughout the entirety of that, and he got the feature win in front of Dalton Carlson, who started 7th, and Nathan Sletto, who's only had a handful of races this year in that super stock, finishing in 3rd. And so that was your results from the Stampede over at the Bemidji Speedway this past Sunday.
So let's talk about, take a moment and talk about our Stampede Shakedown program. Mason, we had some interesting facts coming into this. We had 6 going into the week. And then once we started announcing people, it was made known to us that we were not notified that one person wasn't going to fix their damage from the week before. So we went down to 5. And then when we posted another driver, it was made known to us that they blew their motor a handful of races back and never let us know that they weren't going to be going. So then we were 4. And then we were asked if we could have a driver who's already participated in the shakedown. And we said we didn't really respond because that wasn't going to fit into the parameters of our program. But then we had...
I did respond.
We had another person join, and we were pretty excited to get Shane for that one. And then we had Aaron Oseth join, but then we're really going to go with a half for that because he technically showed up to the track and got into the pits, and then I guess
He actually got into staging, I think.
Yeah.
Motor issues going into his heat, and then he just went back to the pit instead and loaded and went home. So we had 5.5.
Yep. But hey, they actually had pretty good representation throughout the whole entire week because we had 31 late models.
And of those 31, how many were either Shakedown participants for this year or previous shakedown members?
I think we had, what was it, 18? Did we count it was like
18.
17 or 18? It was
Yeah.
pretty good, which is really neat to see that basically doing the program has helped kind of build back up late model car counts throughout the region. Plus, there's a lot of new drivers going into the late model division in the last couple of years, which has even helped out even more to get us, get us actually more people over to Stampede because it's really nice to see a healthy car count of late models with not just, quality of cars as well, with quantity of cars. So that's been kind of cool.
Yep, it's fun seeing all of our previous members or those who decide to come back and participate in the Stampede again. It's cool to see them come back, and I don't know if it's directly us getting the Stampede out to them or showing them the opportunity to come race, or if they just had a good time at that one and then decide to come back again. It's just fun to see that we are possibly making an impact, a positive impact in racing, and yeah, good, bad, or otherwise, I think the program's making a difference in one way or another.
I think so. I'd agree with that. And it was a nice diverse field of new
It
drivers,
was.
veterans of the late model division. So nice, solid mix of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of had some bad luck in the consi because I'll go through a couple of the results here really quick. So, we had from our driver mix that we had this year, we actually had two of our drivers in the consi because Aaron Osseth was not able to start. So we're going to scratch him out of the consi. But we had two of our drivers start the consi. Jamie Troutner missed the consi transfer by one spot. And then Colin Thompson was in a transfer spot and actually had some problems with that 49 machine and ended up pulling off of the track. So he did not finish. But so those two drivers did not make it through the consi race. The rest of our other three drivers had all made it in to the feature race on Saturday night. And Mason covered off on him earlier. Nate Reynolds went from 10th to 6th, so very nice run for Nate, a rookie in the late model division. So looked really good. And he was using the bottom part of the track too, which is something that we haven't seen a whole lot from late model drivers, kind of over in the Jamestown area as a whole. And looked really good on the bottom. He had some really good bite off from both in turn 2 and in turn 4. So he was one of them that was up there, finished in the 6th position. And then we had the next driver in our program, Shane Edgington, that had made the feature. Unfortunately for Shane actually got involved in that wreck with Mike Gresseth over there on the front straightaway that took out Gresseth, took out Cole Schill, took out Shane, and also Cole Babcock. Those are four drivers that were running right up there in the top 10 during that wreck. And Shane was actually fourth when that wreck happened. So in running the throwback paint scheme to John Seitz from 2002, that's actually a really cool paint scheme that he was running during the invitational season this year. And then Jaden Chris was our other driver that was in the program. And Jaden had problems as well with damage from the back straightaway wall and ended up pulling off and did not finish in that feature event as well. So Nate definitely fared the best out of our shakedown drivers this year, but I just appreciated all of those drivers for coming out and joining us this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see who we can come up with for the 2025 Stock Car Stampede. Definitely,
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting too, because the way the program works, right, guys, is that it's either you've never raced a late model in Stampede, or you haven't raced a late model in over 5 years at the Jamestown Stock Car Stampede. So that is actually coming up now to include basically, so right, this year we were through 2019 through 2023, right? That was that 5-year window. Well, now we're 2020 through 2024. So we've got a couple more drivers that would be eligible for that program that maybe haven't been there for a couple of years. So that would be actually interesting to see them actually come back and join us as part of the Stampede Shakedown.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, this was our 6th year, right?
I think
So
this was our
in
sixth, right?
theory,
Because we started it in 19.
yeah, so we've had,
No, we started it in 18.
so this, did we?
Yeah, because we started in 18 because we had the Smiths come out of
1, 2, 3.
Alberta.
So this is our 7th year.
Oh.
So we've had, in theory, we could have had up to 42 individuals. I know we've had a couple years where I think we did 4,
Yep. Last year we did four, and I think in 2018 we did only four.
Yeah, so that's
And then 19
30
we did
cars,
five.
37 cars. So we had just shy of half of our participants back with us this year. That's pretty cool.
Hmm. Definitely. So like I said, I'm excited to see who we can come up with for 2025 because I'm sure there'll be some new drivers in the division and some drivers that haven't been there in a while that'll might be interested.
My first takeaway out of the four from the weekend was physically, there were a lot of cars, there were a lot of campers, there were a lot of people, and there was a lot going on in the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
So there was basically activities all over the place all day Friday, all day Saturday, and Thursday night kicked off the festivities. And overall, grandstands were very good on Friday and were really good on Saturday. So that was pretty cool to see the volume of people. It felt definitely like a Stampede weekend again. Last year obviously was the rain delayed one. It was cold. There wasn't a lot of people in the grandstands either night. But this year felt like it was more back to the formal stock car stampede weekend with everybody on the grounds. Plus the motocross was going on, so that was pretty cool to see too. So that was takeaway number one. Takeaway number two,
I thought those were the four takeaways.
So
that was not my four takeaways. That was just my first takeaway. My second takeaway on this whole thing was kind of the theme of first time stock car stampede winners in their division.
Yeah.
So Lucas Rodin was the only winner that was now a multi-time winner in his division because you had Asher Williams, who was first-time winner. You had Gabe Deshaw, who was a first-time winner in his division in the sport mods because he's one of the stock cars. You had the Madler brothers finish 1-2 in the Legends. So Noah, first-time winner in that one too. Brian Michelson, first-time winner in the late models. Colin Hibden, first-time winner in the mods. Johnny Carter, first-time winner in his stock car. And then Hunter Carter, first-time winner in his street stock, along with Gunnar Rayner in the slingshot. So 8 out of the 9 first-time winners within the division. So that part was pretty cool overall as well. The third theme that I have to bring up, because a lot of people were talking about it when I was in the pits on Friday night, was the quickness of the show on Friday. Saturday we just had a bunch of cautions, right? Stuff that just happened, wrecks and cautions, everything else. But Friday night was very quick overall, and we were done right around 11 o'clock, which is pretty cool to see with 278 cars on Friday night. So that part was pretty cool to see that we were done in a quick manner. That was number three. Number three for me was to go through and see it all from that perspective on how quick that kept going, right? And the minimal amount of cautions, and honestly, minimal amount of track prep they kind of did. They watered the track a little bit here or there, but overall, they didn't do a ton of track prep on Friday night at all. And overall, the track itself, both Friday and Saturday, there was definitely some character in the track on both nights, but it was definitely racy. I mean, you could go top, bottom, middle. You definitely had options on both nights. And then the fourth overall point that I have to bring up. No, it's not number 10. It's just number 4. So, and the fourth overall point that I have to bring up for the weekend is kind of the great job that variety of individuals did in different roles on both Friday and Saturday night. And what I mean by that is, Mason, you were in more of an announcing role for the Stalker Stampede that you're not usually in. It's your first year doing that. That was kind of fun to see, kind of fun to have you in that role and have you in a different kind of position than what you're typically in as part of the invitational season and invitational specials. We missed Becca as well. We had Corey Litton, the roaming pit reporter in the infield.
That was really good.
Yeah,
that
it
was
was.
really good. That was a lot of fun. Yep, that was a lot of fun to see, especially from the broadcast side too, because he was given a different perspective from the broadcast side. That I think was kind of fun to see on that one too. Jessup had a great number of viewers on DakotaSpeedway.tv, so that part was really cool to see as part of that role and go through all that piece of it. And then yeah, pit side, everything went pretty smooth from pit side area based to everything tower based. I don't really think ever from the tower side that we were really ever truly flustered per se on like Friday night or even from a Saturday night perspective.
Slingshots.
Oh, slingshots, that might have been the only time. Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, Maybe the problem was during the slingshots is that I was still in the tower. Because when I left the tower, they ran all the way clean and green after that.
John
Should
has
have
a
did
point
more
here.
of that.
So I should have done more of that on the night, right?
I agree.
Excellent takeaways. I do agree with that.
So yeah, the other one was weather. I mean, weather was absolutely Stampede perfect weather pretty much. I mean, although it was chilly and cool on Saturday, it truly felt like kind of like summertime on Friday and then more Stampede weather on Saturday.
Well, in the stands, it actually was very comfortable. Being
It
in the
was.
pit side was not great.
No, no, just with the weather.
Yeah, we got every little particle of dust blowing into the pits, and I'm like, I cannot wait to get over to the stands for the rest of the night. Do you want to go over what's upcoming next for racing wise,
Sure.
real quick? It's pretty
Go to
simple.
Speedway.
Yes, we should. We have to. Because, race fans, if you want to check out everything North Dakota racing results, just a one-stop shop for everything, again, one-stop shop for everything, you have to check out Dakota Dirt. Again, they are on social media platforms, so you can check them out on Facebook. You should really like them on Facebook because they want to get more followers and likes. So you should really do that on Facebook. But you should also check out their website at dakotadirt.org because, their schedule is out there. And this weekend is the big one at Dakota Speedway for the unofficial last race of the season in North Dakota, unless somebody tries to add a race.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well,
Becca, what classes are racing at Oktoberfest?
So we have IMCA Modifieds, IMCA Stock Cars, INEX Legends, Dakota Speedway Hobby Stocks, IMCA Sport Compacts, IMCA Hobby Stocks, IMCA Sport Mods, and new for 2024, we're adding Slingshots. So, and there's going to be a nice payout through the entire field for the Slingshots because we had a nice group of individuals and businesses come forward to supply the purse for that. So hopefully that entices all sorts of Slingshots and their families to come down and race with us. But so far, there seems to be a lot of excitement for Oktoberfest from all over. And hopefully we see bigger and more cars than we've seen. It's been Oktoberfest keeps growing year after year, and I would love to see that trend continue. And yes, it has become quite large, and it seems like there's a lot of excitement, and I hope to see big car counts this weekend. You guys are making fun of me, but I don't care. So
More cars.
It's just
more
nice to have you
beers
back,
and more
Becca.
cars.
More
It's grown
cars.
rather large over the years.
Yes, very large. So no, it should be a great weekend of racing. It starts off on Thursday with a test and tune from 5:30 to 9. Drivers can come and turn some laps. All car classes are welcome, and drivers can leave their trailers and toters in the pits overnight in preparations for Oktoberfest, which start on Friday with dashes, and then the top 8 from in passing points will go it'll start with heat races, and the top 8 in passing points will go directly to their dash for cash. The top 16 in passing points will automatically qualify for the feature on Saturday, but it's the top 8 that will qualify for that dash for cash. And how they finish that dash for cash is how they'll start their feature on Saturday. So then on Saturday, we'll do some B main racing first to kick off the evening at 6 o'clock, and then we'll go right into our feature races, and lots of big money on the line for all of those racing divisions, again, and including the Slingshots, and that's amazing. So hopefully if you want to hit the racetrack one last time, you come support Oktoberfest. If you're a race fan, we want to see you in the grandstand. So it's gonna be a good time.
Are you sure those A mains aren't redraw?
No redraws this year. I learned a lesson the hard way. Got my butt
What
chewed
about
out.
an invert? We
No
could
inverts. No.
I think we should invert the top 24.
No, that's okay.
That would
Nope.
actually be hilarious.
I'm gonna stick.
I would honestly prefer that.
I'm gonna
That'd be
stick to
fun.
the plan.
None of the drivers would like it. I would prefer it because it's more amusing to see the drivers work their way through the field versus start on the pole and just drive away.
That was
Drivers like
my
it.
that was my thought process maybe 4 years ago when I was like, let's just invert
The only problems you had with that, Becca, was that it was announced that it was passing points, and you made a decision for board members while not being a sitting board member.
Whoops. Got my butt chewed out. But you know what? Oh
Anyways,
well.
other racing taking place this week, Mason, across the nation. I'm sure there's a NASCAR race somewhere.
No, I'm
Isn't
excited.
Madison's racing?
Well, Madison
Yes,
has
the
Madtown
Madtown Showdown.
Showdown,
And then it's
right?
the Silver 1000. Oh, well, on
On Thursday,
Thursday.
which I am promoting that. Look, I've got my Silver 1000
So
shirt
am
on.
I, John. So am
I
I.
mean, look at that.
Look.
We're both repping.
Can you name the
So
drivers on there?
so on mine, yeah,
Yeah.
we've got Jimmy Mars
Yep.
and Justin Fleming.
I mean, it does. It says it on the shirt.
Way to
It
go,
does.
John.
Plus, I know the paint schemes, because I'm just well versed in racing action like that.
Yeah.
And
What
then,
happens after that, John? What
well,
happens
and
the
then we
night
got
after the Silver
we got
1000?
Red Clay.
Mm-hmm. Where?
And I mean, that's going to be a really big special over in Ashland, Wisconsin. And I'm excited for that one too, because I usually actually kind of watch some of the highlight stuff from that one, typically every single year, just because of the fact of the matter that it is a big invitational. They've got 4 classes of cars, and they're going to have a lot of cars. They typically get 200 or maybe even plus on that special. So you have your Wissota Midwest Modifieds, your Wissota Super Stocks, your Wissota Mods, and your Wissota Late Models. And they're
Yep.
all racing for big purses. And plus, there's a pretty big party that happens over there in the Ashland area too during the Red Clay Classic.
Yep. What else is racing, John?
Well,
I got it all.
Sheridan is running.
Sheridan's got
Sheridan is running.
Sheridan is running this weekend.
They have their
Fall
it's their
Classic.
Fall Classic,
Yep. It's called Fall Classic over there.
which has Rocky Mountain Hardtops, Wissota Street Stocks, IMCA Sport Compacts, IMCA Modifieds, Wissota Mod 4s, the MWMs of the Wissota Midwest Mods, and
SmackDown.
Legends. So they
And
have a lot of more classes than
they got
usual.
more cars.
And what else
So
do we have, John?
We have the Granite City Open.
That's going to be an
yes,
interesting race.
that is a open rules package for them.
Yep.
And it's going to be a lot of money on the line over in Granite City Motor Park.
It is
And
a ridiculous amount of money on the line.
yes, they're running Super Stocks open, Midwest Mods to B Mods open, and Modifieds open. And there's a lot of big names from like the USRA side, the USMTS side that are coming over for that show, but there's a lot of prize money involved in that event.
Yeah, and the weather looks great for this weekend, so I think there will be a pretty good car count at all the racing events this weekend.
Yes, I have to give props to Mason for, getting his shenanigans out of the way early in the season.
Well, we had to make a sacrifice on Saturday at the Wissota 100 by wrecking all of my equipment so that we could have a nice, clean invitational season.
This is true.
Sometimes sacrifices must be made, Mason.
I was just happy that when he had Steve O's drone over in Jamestown during night 2 of the Stampede, that no drones were hurt in the making of that broadcast.
Yeah.
So we will display the white flag to get to our wins of the week and give a shout out to the real deal Brody Carl's rooting the B1 IMCA stock car with a nice podium finish at the stock car Stampede. It was awesome to see him run the bottom, and he almost had a crack at the lead there halfway through that race.
Yeah.
So he looks really good. I believe he's possibly planning to make his appearance over at Oktoberfest, although it might be on Saturday only. So hopefully we get to see him out at the Dakota Speedway. Be sure to check out his podcast, Real Deal with B1. He's been uploading episodes and stay in touch with him and his racing adventures. And so thank you, Brody, for supporting us on the podcast. I am letting Becca go first on wins of the week.
My first win of the week is going to go to Calvin Kesselberg because he had what? He had
She didn't even watch that feature. She slept through it.
Oh, she watched that one.
I watched that one.
She watched that one. That was early.
She claims she did.
She probably rewatched it on Rewind.
No, I heard his victory lane speech, and he was ecstatic, and he had a great run overall, and he finally finished a stock car Stampede. So that's a victory in itself for him, and that's awesome. So congrats to Kelvin Kesselberg. And then I'm going to go outside our racing realm here within the Midwest, and I'm going to give my second win of the week to Dave Blaney, who won. What?
Ooh,
What?
he took my other one.
I didn't think he would actually do
Jessup.
that.
I'm so sad for you.
The sprint car guy not know that Dave Blaney won the Lou Blaney Memorial at the track that the family owned, and
And
that was his
announced
last race, and he
his
retired without
retirement.
anybody knowing it until he said, "This is my last race," in his victory lane speech. No, I did not know anything about that. While it was all shown live on Dirt Vision.
Did you know?
Did you
So
know
he
that
so
Dakota
he won
Speedway is social?
he won at Blaney Speedway. Is this like Paul Stone
Paul
winning at Paul
Stone.
Stone Speedway?
Paul Stone Speedway. That's a good one.
Anyway, I'm tired. Those are my wins of the week. I didn't mean to steal from Jessup, but
I'm glad you stole from Jessup.
I thought it was cool. So because I
Okay.
was watching the NASCAR race, I was watching the Stampede, and then on Twitter, that's how I found out was on Twitter that Dale won was when Ryan congratulated his dad for winning at the family home track, and he announced his retirement. So
Excellent. Since I think Jessup will need a little bit more time to come up with a win or two, John, you go ahead.
Okay, I will go ahead. I am taking three. I've got 3 wins of the week here. So, my first one, I have to give it over to Johnny Carter because it was very much fun to watch him wheel Mike Munn's street stock from 26th to third. That was a really fun um kind of person to keep up with during that street stock race because you'd be watching the battle up front because it was so intense, and then you go deeper in the field and be like, okay, so now where's Johnny at? Because it was like, oh, he's up to 15th after the first few laps. Oh, now he's cracked the top 10. And then you look up and you're like, oh, he's on the high side all by himself, so now he's up to third. So yeah, so that was kind of a neat one to kind of watch. Plus, he won the stock car feature in a hard fought battle with Randy Klein in that race, as well as Daniel Aberle in that race. And stock car race was just really good overall with Rob Van Millen in that battle too. So I have to get that one over to Johnny Carter. Congratulations to him on another stock car Stampede win. My other win of the week from the Stampede itself in general, I have to give it over to Asher Williams. Asher had such a good season over in Jamestown, and he just capped it off with a stock car Stampede win. And just like that, I stole another one of Jessup's with Asher Williams taking home the stock car Stampede win in the Hobby Stock and Bomber division. That was a very popular win over there in the Jamestown area as well. So congratulations over there to Asher. My final win of the week, I have to give it over to the Hampel family as a whole over at Big Sky because this past weekend was the Kelly Hampel Memorial Race over there. They had a total of 25 late models on Saturday night for that big special. They had some big names over there, like Don Shaw went over there for that race, and everything else. But Lynn Amick ended up picking up the big win
See, John
over
just
there
takes a bunch of people right there. I want
in
to
the
give the
47
Hampel
machine.
family, the Big Sky Speedway, and Lynn
Yep.
Amick.
I had to
He
take the
just
whole thing, but Lynn wasn't even my win of the week necessarily for this. It was Ty Hampel who was truly my win of the week because Ty was racing the 36 machine as well, which was Kelly's number, but he went up 21 positions in that feature event to second. So congratulations to Ty on a very nice run during the Hampel Memorial Race.
So
Nice.
Jessup, you can still claim Big Sky Speedway. You can still claim the Hampel family, and you can still claim Lynn Amick.
Jessup, did you need more time? Because I got
no.
I think he does. He's still researching.
I'm researching and developing.
You
Here, Jessup, I can help you.
Developing winners.
You've got like Ryan Michelson available to you. You've got Marcus Tomlinson available to you.
We've already talked about this.
Colin Hibden winning his
Colin
first.
Hibden available to you.
No.
I'll be nice.
I
I'll
want to go
Lucas
elsewhere.
Rodin
Go ahead, Mason. Pick
available.
people.
I will do
You could
two
take-
more. I'll be nice and only do two more.
I mean, you can take Mike Nichols in his last race as well as Casino.
Oh, that's a really good one. I'm going to take that one actually for my third one.
That was actually going to be one of mine as well if we had like a, going back segment.
So Mike Nichols announced over this weekend that he's actually retiring from full-time racing as he's got another little one on the way. So he's going to have a second child. And so I'm assuming he's going to take a step back to kind of focus on that, raising the family. He had a really great battle this weekend with his brother Tommy Nichols for the win on the last night of the On Classic Casino Speedway. So big shout out to Mike Nichols and the racing he's done over the last several years. And I'm sure we'll still be seeing him at the track quite a bit. The second win I had was also at Casino Speedway. Sweeping the weekend was Jason Marco in the number 31 Wissota Street Stock. Big congrats out to him as he usually races at Casino Speedway during the year, and to finish off the season there with 2 feature wins with a very stacked field of street stocks there. Very good job for Jason Marco in the 31. And my third win of the week, I will go back to the Stampede and give out shout out to one of the Stampede shakedown drivers and give it to Nate Reynolds in the 6R as he was let me double check this. I'm pretty sure he was the top finisher of the Stampede shakedown drivers. Yes, in 6th. Started 10th, finished 6th, and he was running the very bottom of the track. We're looking really solid, and a much better performance than his August stint over at Jamestown Speedway where the tire left before the green flag before he even crossed the finish line. So those are my 3 wins of the week.
Do you guys want to recap your shakedown drivers and who the 6 drivers were?
I have my winners. I have more than I should. Actually, I'm just going to use the 3 that I came up with because
he came up with after we all took these numbers.
Weren't stolen from me.
Nathan, I have another one, by the way.
We're gonna go.
I have to give it to the Madler brothers.
We're gonna go out east, and I'm gonna start with Dave Kane over at the Thunder City Speedway, picking up the sweep over at their not memorial, but their invitational race. What was it called? For the life of me, I don't remember.
It was
Thunder City. It was the Thunder Bay Truck Center Dirt Track Nationals. We got to get them. We should call it like the Maple Leaf Money Invitational.
Sure. They had a lot of cars there too.
They had, how many did they have?
184 on the
154 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes? Something like that. Anyways, Dave King gets my first one for sweeping the modified portion. My second one will go to another sweep over at the Thunder City Speedway as Cole Chernosky would sweep the super stock division. Both nights, I think he went +5 to pick up both feature wins. So hats off to you. And my third and final win, I'm going to stay in the super stock division, but I'm going to switch tracks. And I'm going to go to the Red Cedar Speedway as Alex Myers would go +15 to finish second to Terrence Spacek in that division. And there was also a lot of passing that night over there as well, as Daryl Nelson would go I believe 16. Yep, +16 to get second in the modified division to pole starter AJ Demo. And that's all. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna talk too much.
Yeah. Very solid wins. Dave King was on my list in case no one mentioned him. So
yep. But did you have Cole Chernosky?
I did not. I saw him on the results, but I did not put him on my list.
No. You gotta broaden your horizons, Mason.
You're right. Well, with that, that'll do it for episode 27 of season 3 for the Track Packers podcast. As always, be sure to like, share, and comment as we are still deep in the invitational season, so a couple races left. Thank you for our sponsors, Hitch Harness, with the Real Deal with B1 Brody Carlsrud and Isaac Hot Sauce Sandro. The weather looks beautiful this weekend, still plenty of racing, so we hope to see you out there packing the track.
Yeah.